to start off with, let's see who are we going to talk with today. So my name is Andre. Most of you already know me. I am a cybersecurity and product expert here at Heimdall Security. Been with Heimdall for over 4 years now. Had about 5,000 plus meetings. Seen this product start from a baby, from 2 products, and now looking at it at the range of products that it has. And my colleague for today's session will be Robertino. Robertino is our head of pre-sales engineering, and I'll give the floor to him for a quick intro here.
Thank you, Andre. Well, not as long at the company as Andre and not as many meetings. So finally, Andre was in the beginning my mentor, to be honest, and I learned from him nearly everything that makes the Heimdall products great and the technical specs. And now I'm happy to join the webinar with him after 30 years in IT and other areas. Now at Heimdall as head of pre-sales. Thank you, Andre, that I can join you.
Thank you, Robertino, for sharing that with us. Now, before we go further, let's also see what are we going to talk about today. Let's see what's the agenda. So the agenda, we have a quick meet and greet, which we're already doing. We will then talk about DNS security. What are the risks versus the rewards of DNS security? So we're gonna not only talk about what's the risk if you don't have DNS security, we are also going to talk about what is the risk when you put on DNS security. Also, we're gonna see a bit about how the Heimdall threat prevention works, and we're gonna do a threat hunting exercise together. We're gonna have Robertino have some fun for this one. Then we're gonna look at some actionable tips and takeaways. Have ready for you guys some related resources so that you can read whenever you have some time. And last but not least, we will be having a Q&A session based on this or whatever else topic that is related to Heimdall comes to your mind. Now, at the end of the session, very important, you guys already know it, but I want to make sure you you get reminded of this. It's important at the end you have a survey. Please fill in the survey because that will help me make sure that the events are responding to your exact expectations. Perfect. Now, let's dive in. Before we see exactly what is the Heimdall Security DNS, right, we need to see who is Heimdall first, right? So Heimdall is a cybersecurity Danish vendor that has right now this entire product stack, which is very impressive. 9 products under one unified management aspect. And we are currently servicing over 11,000 business-to-business customers. Now that you know who are the speakers, you know who is Heimdall, and you also know what we're going to talk about today. Now let's see. The topic of today's conversation is DNS, right? Now, before we jump into DNS security, into that, and into advanced things, let's see, back to the basics. What's DNS, right? And it's also important to look at the basics so that you can see exactly where do you fit in with these basics. So we have this computer of mine right now, or the computer that you're connected to right now, right? And this computer goes into its browser and types google.com. This is not a great example because everybody knows what is the IP of Google, but let's say an address of your choice, right? What happens here? The local computer goes in its local cache of DNS and checks, do I already know the IP for google.com? If the cache returns the response, no, I do not know what is the IP for google.com, it goes to second step. But before doing that, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page, whenever you type an address such as google.com or heimdall.com or whatever, DNS.com, what you do is you are trying to call an IP, which is a sequence of numbers. We have a sequence of 4 sets of numbers, okay? Now, we need the DNS to connect us, our written website, like google.com in this example, to that particular IP. That's basically what DNS does. So DNS now calls to the primary DNS server and asks the DNS server, do you know the IP for google.com? The DNS server might respond yes or no. If it responds no, it goes further. If it responds yes, it reverts back the information to the computer. Let's say it responds no, what happens then? Then we go further, and due to the recursive nature of DNS, it will go to the next server and to the next server and to the next one and to the next one until one knows at least where to find the information. Where whenever we find out where to find the information, then the next step is going to that exact place. Now, the recursive DNS servers work until the IP is found. So now our computer can get the information where to go to access google.com. And what happens now? Now we go back and reverse delivery of the information. And we go back and we get to the computer. Now, why is this important? Because when people talk about DNS security, people talk about a few different things over here. So and just to explain where Heimdall DNS security comes into play, I wanted to have this matrix over here. Now, let's look at it a bit. So if we are looking at applying DNS filtering as a security on our computers, on our environment, the first place where we could put it is on top of the computer itself, exactly as pictured over here in what I'm showing you. A second level of where you could put DNS security is on top of your DNS network. And this would be the network threat prevention component. Now, it's also important because there's also another type of DNS security that handles your DNS server itself. But this is another topic for another conversation. And I just wanted to make sure that we all know what we're talking about today. What are the items that we want to focus on today? Now, just looking at this, we will be focusing on protecting the bridge in between either the DNS server and the World Wide Web, or we will be focusing on protecting the bridge between your computer and your DNS server. Depending, again, are we looking at endpoint type of resolution of DNS, or are we looking at the network type of resolution? Okay, now, since we talked a bit about how DNS works, and since we saw exactly where is the Heimdall DNS fitting in the picture and where will we be taking care of things, I also want to launch a poll so that we can get to know each other a bit, right? So this particular poll sounds something like this. Have you ever experienced a cyber attack that used internet to get into your computer? And the answers are yes, yes, and I also know others that have. No, but I know others that have experience. And the last option would be no, I do not know, and I don't know others that have experienced. So let's give it a minute here. I'll use this chance to hydrate. Okay, 10 seconds left on the clock. Let's see. Okay, and thank you for voting. We actually have 75% voting, which is awesome. Let me share the results with you guys. So as you can see, we have a lot of people experiencing and also knowing about others. We also have people experiencing directly the pains of internet-based attacks. Now, why am I asking this? And actually, I want to congratulate the people that did not experience this and don't know anybody that experienced this. You are actually rare on the face of this earth right now. The reason why I wanted to show you guys this is because, and let me hide the poll and get back to the presentation. This should appear for you guys in a second. Basically, there is an explosion going on right now of new malware domains. That means that malware is using this infrastructure over the internet to be able to infect the computers. In today's world, it's just a small percentage of attacks that happen without the use of internet in the discussion of the attack, in the planning of the attack, in the deploying of each of the phases of the attacks. And we need to understand why was it that we wanted to talk about DNS today? What did we see in the industry, and what made us want to talk about this this particular aspect? So let's see. What I did is I went and talked to my colleagues, and when I talked to our head of intelligence of our AI team, he shared some information that shocked me. So he shared with me from a month-to-month basis from the beginning of this year, how many new items does Heimdall have in its intelligence set. So basically, these are new infected domains that have been used for malware distribution or are even still used for carrying malware and so on. So we have January. In January, before we start, Robertino, would you like to take a wild guess? How many do you think were reported new in January?
A well-educated guess. Infrastructure for cyber criminals. 1 million.
1 million. Anybody else cares to guess how many new domains were found carrying malware or any other suspicious activities? And we have somebody else saying that close to 1 million. And you guys are both correct. Actually, it's a bit over 1 million. It's 1.3 million new malware domains. Then we have a bit under 1 million, which is okay. Then we have in March 2 million all of a sudden. Okay. Then we see a lot of interesting questions. Please do continue posting them because we will get to them. Then we have 2.5 million in April. Let's see, in May, does anybody care to guess how many new items we have? Robertino, would you like to take a guess? Is it higher? Is it lower than the previous month?
Okay, I'm just taking the curve, and I would say it was doubling, short break in between, let's say 4.8, 4.5, something like that.
4.8, 4.5. Actually, we have Gary in the room with us. Gary is saying 5 million as well. And by the way, we're also looking at subdomains over here. So it's important to know not only top level domains. Okay, then in May we actually have a small decrease, and that brings us to 1.7 million. But this is when it gets interesting. This is when it gets interesting. In June, we have 3.4 million almost. And Moat, you were almost there, 3.5. So we have somebody in the chat that said 3.5 is the number. Now, this is actually what made us talk about DNS in this public webinar, because, guys, are you there to see how many we had in July? So, Robertino, take a guess. Take a guess on this one.
So, I mean, I just can lose. I'm staying with my.
Don't worry about it. We're having fun. And everybody else, please use the chat
You
and
know,
tell us.
the problem is the head of pre-sales should know it. So absolutely, either I'm telling you the real number, then I'm killing the joke, or I'm just saying a different number, and then everybody thinks I'm stupid and they don't know my products. So
Yeah, this is the intelligence
I'm
level.
saying
This is not the
I'm
applied level.
saying
So just give it a guess. Just give it a guess.
it's 7 millions.
7 million. So in the chat so far, we have you with 7 million. We have Gary saying 6 million. We have people saying it's maybe lower, 1.5, 5 million, 5 million. Now, everybody would say 5 million, and even I would say 5 million, but I know what is next. So in July alone, we had 27 million new entries. 27 million people. This is a staggering 8 times more, 8 times. So this is huge. Honestly, this is huge. So that's why we wanted to look at DNS. Just a second. Even me sneezing says that that I'm right. This is huge, right? So guys, this is why we wanted to make sure that everybody is tackling their DNS, their security at the DNS level. This is huge because it's only in 1 month, it has 8 times as a growth. And as all the vendors are that are out there, Heimdall has a shared intelligence. We take data from wherever we can get our hands on it, right? And only the data that has been generated by you guys, by our customers, by people that are using Heimdall on their computers, out of the entire 100% of the new entries that we are faced with on a day-to-day basis, we have 40% that is, and let me unjam the slides, we have 40% that is 99% infected, and this is the Heimdall AI, artificial intelligence. Now, we have an interesting question. Is this in any way related to the war in East Europe? Now, I believe that all of you might have seen that it's also a cyber war going on, and this might be exactly related to that, but we cannot pinpoint it. The number of entries and the number of the location of the domain owners are widely spread across the world, but it might be related to the situations that are happening right now. So basically, again, out of the 100% of new domains that Heimdall is dealing with on a daily basis, 40% are infected, 99%, which is huge, huge, guys. It's a 99% probability of infection. This is enormous. So basically, this is the world we're living in, and we don't want to scare you guys because any type of security that handles this particular aspect will be good enough. So please make sure to don't get frightened about the numbers. But this is the reality, and we need to be aware of it. This is the situation. Now, let's see. What are the risks when you want to install DNS security? So, okay, we now understand that installing DNS security is important, right? Now, what are the risks when I am ready to install DNS security? Because it's also the situation when I want to install something, but then it creates trouble for me. So before going into the DNS, the risks of DNS security, I also want to launch a second poll. And thank you for for responding in the first one with me. So let's see. In the second poll, the second poll should be showing on the screen, and it should be something like this. Are you currently securing your DNS? And the answers are yes, and I'm happy with the current security solution that I have. Second one, yes, but I am not happy with my current solution. Third one, no, but I would like to have a look at a possible solution. And the fourth answer, no, and I'm happy with my current solution. We want to see how many people are satisfied with their current solutions. Okay, let's give it a few more seconds here. Okay, 2-3 more seconds. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Again, a lot of people joining in the polls. Thank you. We really appreciate you guys doing that. Okay, now this is very, very good. So we are currently looking at 60% of the people that are in the call having protection at the DNS level and also being happy with the current solution. This is great. This is literally great. So this is exactly where we want to be at. For the people that do not have security and would like to look at the possible solution, please know that in that survey at the end of the session, you do have the means of getting a demo from our side. If it's from our side, if it's from anywhere else, please make sure you do add DNS security. I'm not kidding. It's a very important one. Good. Thank you for attending the poll. Now let me hide the poll and let's continue. What are the risks when I add DNS security? Well, the risks that I might bring is, first of all, the intelligence of that DNS security tool might be database driven, which is people get the intelligence from various sources and add them manually into a database. Of course, it's not a manual entry by entry, but it's the work of an analyst. When you look at something like this, and we will see this in the attack that Robertino has ready for us. When we look at something like this, in today's world, we have what is known as DGAs. And I promise I won't go too much into the technicals here, but when we talk about DGAs, we are talking about the domain generation algorithm. And these, by definition, if you look at it, these are algorithms seen in various families of malware that are used to periodically generate a large number of domains so that they can use as rendezvous points with their command and control servers. So going even more simple, I have a malware infrastructure right now. I have a DGA attached to it. My malware infrastructure is regenerating itself continuously and making sure that if you, the security provider, track me down and shut me off, I have the same information ready on 30 different points, ready as a backup so that I can continue my work. And that is a problem because if I generate as an attacker so many new domains, what do? How do you keep up with me? And that's the problem. That's why it's important. Make sure you analyze that particular product and see how its intelligence is being gathered. It's very important. Next, resolving your DNS externally. Well, when you put up DNS security, what do you usually do, right? You usually take your traffic, and if we go back to the DNS scheme, you remember it's the computer, then it goes to the DNS server. And if you put up your DNS security in a way that takes your traffic and sends it to another source, to another receiving source out there, now that basically comes with some risks, right? What could be the risks? Well, we have somebody saying in the chat, the time of resolution. Thank you. This is a good one. We have another one in the chat, the privacy concern. Of course, this is huge as a privacy concern. So basically, usually people, in order to secure you, what they do is they take your DNS traffic to their server, and in their server, they run your request versus their known database of bad traffic, and then they allow you to get your resolution back. Now, it's important whenever you're looking at the DNS security product, make sure that this is not a mandatory factor to send your traffic outside. And with Heimdall's products, with both of them, you don't have this particular problem. Next, using DNS filtering on a dynamic IP. Now, this is another problem. If you're looking at the network level, going back to the first image that we played around with, that graph with DNS, you saw the two levels, right? Endpoint level DNS security, network level DNS security. Now, if you do network DNS security, usually you need to have some access rules behind that setup. an access rule needs to know an IP. Now, if you have a dynamic IP, well, you have a bit of a problem. Now, when you look at DNS security, there is something in the market for you as well, if you're in that given situation. And for you, you need to look for hybrid DNS setups. What's a hybrid DNS, you might ask? Well, we come to the DNS server, we install an appliance on the DNS server. This is a software appliance, and that appliance just acts as the relay between us instead of us needing to take away the traffic. And Heimdall is coming out with hybrid DNS this month exactly. Now, let's see what other reasons might we have as risks when we put up DNS security. Now, I would say loss of privacy, right? Because whenever you're adding something that sits in between of you and your desired outcome on the internet, that something knows what you are trying to go to, right? So that's your privacy. And due to privacy, people are starting to adopt a concept called DNS over HTTPS, DOH. Now, if you do DNS security, you usually compromise the DOH, and here's why. DNS over HTTPS needs to encrypt the traffic in an HTTPS packet and then move this packet across the internet encrypted to its destination. Now, if we look at DNS security, usually what DNS security tries to do is stop that packet, open it or read it. And when they try to do that, guess what happens? They decrypt your DOH traffic. Well, that's a problem, right? Because if you have DOH, you have it for a reason. Well, usually what we're going to do to solve this is Heimdall is coming out with the ability of allowing you to set what is your DOH target. And when you do that, whenever your computer is not in your network, you will have your traffic sent through the DOH. So make sure to stay on the lookout for that one, because it's a massive update that will have this improvement. You will have both hybrid DNS and also the DOH security. Now, before we move forward, oh my God, I see so many cool questions in the chat, but we will get to them when we do the Q&A. Okay, but please continue to add the questions in. Now, if we look at risks, we also need to look at rewards. Whatever carries a risk carries also a reward. Whatever scares us also makes us happy at the end, right? So what are the rewards when we look at DNS security? And we're gonna wrap up with this one so that we can get to the threat hunting exercise. Then we have enhanced security. So you guys can imagine, if 95% of the malware that is out there is using the internet, if you secure this particular path and you take control over the DNS requests that are happening in the computer, you have just eliminated 95% of the risk, 95%, which is massive. Then you have control. Control is a must-have. It's like pure air for anybody that is in cybersecurity right now, and everybody knows it. And you don't even need to be in cybersecurity. You need control everywhere, right? Then we have visibility, because with control you now have visibility, and visibility is something that is mandatory, because with a click of a button you now get to see who is connecting to what the website, which is very important. If you have visibility, you can also do reporting, which is very, very interesting when it comes to compliance, when it comes to reporting further to the investors and so on. We have a few buttons that we click and we have the reports. And last but not least, minimizing the risk scape, because guys, again, 95% of the malware out there is using internet. So if you take out that and you make sure you secure yourself versus the known viruses and all their locations, and you also use a tool that learns by itself, right, with AI included, very important, because again, you saw those DGAs, and we're going to see an example of those DGAs. The things are scaling up in a bit of a dangerous rhythm, I would say. So make sure you're as secured as possible. And even if DNS security has some risks when you install it, depending on what DNS security tool you go for, they also have a lot of rewards, as you can see on this page. And also, I bet that if you look hard enough in the market, you will find tools that don't have all those risks. Now, I hope you're ready to have some fun. Now we're gonna go to the interesting part of the webinar, where we are going to click on malicious files and try to download ransomware and click on phishing links and do the interesting stuff. So Robertino, if you're ready, you can take over the screen. Okay, let me make you the presenter. Okay, close whatever you don't want us to see, Robertino, because we will be seeing your screen.
Can you see it?
Okay.
Yes, you should see it.
Perfect. We are seeing your screen.
Okay, and I have the camera directly in front of the screen, so now it's perfect for me. Now what you see is my VM, not as cool as the last time with the ransomware, just with a straightforward background. And of course, what I have prepared is very simple. In this case, it's just an Excel spreadsheet. And the only thing I do is I just double click on it. And
okay, so this is an Excel spreadsheet, right, Robertino?
Yeah, nothing else.
Okay,
that
so
is coming.
This is something that you could have received on an email or anything like that. So what happens is,
well, as you can see, I just opened I double clicked on it, and obviously there was something inside. You see the phishing domain called open. So
okay, so basically, just double clicking on the document, you already were phished to go to a website on the internet, yes. Right? Okay, so if Heimdall would have not been in the middle in that moment, you would have gone to that particular website, right?
For example, absolutely. Or it was downloading, going to a payload server, downloading some parts of a ransomware, etc., etc. So I made it quite simple. It is just a Visual Basic for applications, just tracking. And you see Heimdall was reacting on that because I just made a web call. And you see, I was just calling this domain that is a phishing domain. That's all. And Heimdall blocked it.
Okay, pretty cool. Course, I also saw you have some buttons in this document. Anything special? I see one claim prize.
Yeah, that is of course always a good thing. I like prizes, so I'm calling a domain. Oopsie.
Okay.
And I think you can tell more about that.
You and me both. So, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on here? And just to take it from the top. So we have an Excel document, right? An Excel document that can be received from anybody. You can receive it by mistake, you can download it, etc. So you just double click in that Excel document. You don't even need to click on something within the Excel. You just double click on it. The commands that are inserted in it with just pure simple VBA will start deploying in your computer. Now, a second button in this document, the claim prize button, takes us to a website. Now, the interesting part, and the part that I will have fun explaining to you right now, is what is Heimdall showing me after Heimdall has stopped both of these attempts. The first attempt of the website, the phishing website, and the second attempt, the one with the ransomware. So I have just loaded my Heimdall console. Robertino, thank you for presenting. I will send it back to you in a few seconds when we get to showing the other types of attacks, okay?
Perfect.
Perfect. So I hope everybody is seeing the Heimdall management console. Now, I know that there are some people that don't know the Heimdall Management Console, so I'll just take a few seconds to do a quick tour. On the left-hand side, we have our utility area in which we can navigate to managing our endpoints, seeing all the data from all the Heimdall products that we have active, creating logins, going to support, generating reports on my email, and so on. Of course, technical area in guide and settings, endpoint, and network settings. Now, going to threat prevention, because this is the DNS filter from Heimdall, and going to endpoint, I want to now see what's Robertino's endpoint doing. And this is the endpoint Robertino was doing the demo on, sales demo 2. As you can see, Heimdall is already flagging this as a high risk of infection, because out of 89 analyzed requests, we had 59 blocked attacks. So let's see, out of those 59, let's go to the ones that we generated a few seconds ago, right? So clicking on that machine takes me more into details, and I can see the 2 entries that were generated on behalf of our attacks a few seconds ago. Okay, now, what do I want to do? So first, I can see that phishing has been attempted over here. What can I do right now is I can open the Heimdall information area to see details about this. I can go to virus total, and I can even take the IP behind the attack. I get to see what application has started this. And of course, if I also use the Heimdall antivirus, I can use them in conjunction and send it to quarantine or even take it for a quick analysis. Now, let's look at this second example. This is the claim the prize button that was in the Excel. So if this would have connected, let's see what would have happened. This is a command and control server, and I will use this integration feature in between Heimdall and VirusTotal. VirusTotal is a free database. Now, this is a good one to show because this is basically the best example of a domain generation algorithm as well as DNS security in its pure faction, right? So let's look at it. We have a few antiviruses over here, a few security tools that also do traffic security, showing that this is dangerous. This is a dangerous website, but these are 11 out of 94. Now, if we go on relations, we now get to see details about this particular domain. We can see it has passive DNS replications. We can see it has infected siblings. And we can see that the files on these websites, files that are actively on the website, and you get to click them and activate them when you go to the website, or files that are taking you and sending you to the website. This is a phishing or something from your computer that makes your computer starts going to this website and give it its data. Let's see what are these files, right? Let's just click on the latest one. WannaCry, Raptor, WannaCry, WannaCry, WannaCry. So now we get to see 65 out of 71 file security vendors like antiviruses and all of those, knowing that the files on the website are dangerous. But what if you had a way of blocking this particular website never to be able to communicate with your computer in the first place? Because on this website, new files can appear tomorrow, files that are so slick that antiviruses will need some time to get to know them. So guys, this is a short example of a Heimdall threat hunting exercise, right? We had what happened. We went to VirusTotal to see exactly what this is known for. And of course, I can now have a lot of things to do, right? I can extend this into looking at all the traffic that has been happening on this computer, right? Full logging of the DNS, and I can see allowed traffic and prevented attacks. So now I can look at allowed traffic and take reports, right? but I can also look at prevented attacks, and I will notice that these websites are repeating themselves as blocks. So that makes me wonder, is there something that I need to dive deeper over here, right? So I can also go into patching and check the latest installs and the latest assets that are available on this particular computer, right? And now I can get to see the patching that is done on the computer and the applications that are available. I can see OS updates that are missing from this computer. I can isolate the computer from the network, and so on and so forth, depending on what I need to do. Now, Robertino, if you're ready for us, would you like to show us some more exercises, some more attacks, like maybe a PowerShell attack, a command line attack? Okay.
Would love to do that. So
let me make you the presenter.
Wonderful. Show my screen. Perfect. Should work. Well, you see, that was usually coming directly from a Word document or an Excel document or anything else. But sometimes also these documents are just executing command shells. So, for example, the PowerShell is the most current one, or still the good old command line. And what I did is very straightforward. I just do a call to this domain and getting a file of it. So when I'm just executing it, come on, you see, it was downloading the file.
Okay.
That's it.
Before you click there.
Yeah.
So this basically what you're doing right now is this is an example where we have command prompt, which is a component of all the Windows OS, the OS versions that are out there. And this command prompt command is going to this website and taking a picture of your computer going to the website. What happens when your computer goes to the website? And this is the picture that you will show us, Robert, when we click on that output file. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, can you please click on the output file and show us?
Yes. And instead, for example, of calling the file it is expecting, of course, it will get blocked by Heimdall.
Okay, so even if this is just a call to that particular DNS domain, if it's a bad one, and if we know it's a bad one, we will block that.
Yes.
And is this what you're saying? Thank you.
Absolutely.
And this is with the command line. What about PowerShell?
PowerShell, absolutely the same behavior. So if you just go, let's take this one here, the phishing domain.
I know that PowerShell, everybody's hearing PowerShell, right? So
see, and what is happening, you see the same file, and if I open it, you see the same content. So really doesn't matter who is initiating the traffic, Heimdall will intercept it, and even when I'm calling the index file directly from that server, it will replace that file directly with the blocking page of Heimdall. So you have the information that the content is blocked by Heimdall, and the process itself could not reach the domain.
Okay, so basically what you're saying here, let me make sure I have understood it correctly, because I know that you, since you're from so many years in this space, you know it by heart, but let me make sure I'm following. So I have a virus. My virus knows to sit on your computer and come to my server so that it can bring down other components of the attack. Now,
yes.
When I try to do that via PowerShell or via the macro that was in the infected Excel or via command line, the DNS level security will still capture this particular attempt of mine, block it, and then report it back to you.
Yes,
Is that
absolutely correctly?
Thank you. The reason why I wanted to make sure that everybody got this, because initially when I saw this particular demonstration back in the day, I was stunned, right? Because now you can make sure that any type of suspicious domain that is talking to your computers, any type of suspicious domain, with the Heimdall AI, you can basically rest assured that it is not infected. If it is infected, the Heimdall AI will catch it for sure. Okay, now I believe you were not seeing Robertino's screen anymore. That makes me want to share my screen with you. And let's get back to the presentation. Okay. You guys should see my my screen in 1 second. Okay. Small technical glitch over here, but what is a session without a technical glitch? It's
as long as the
impossible.
products are, Andre, as long as the products are working and the demonstration live, everything is okay.
Yeah, but having even a session without just a small technical glitch would be boring, right? So let's just enjoy it. So guys, before we move to the Q&A, and before we tell you what's our next webinar, and before you get to ask us all the questions that you are thinking of, please make sure to follow these few key points that that we summarized. So first of all, when it comes to DNS at the security at the DNS level, we have some important factors. If you apply DNS at the if you apply security at the DNS level, you mitigate 95% of general malware, because general malware needs internet to do its job. So if you block that, general malware is now useless on your computer. Then it adds much needed control capabilities, including content filtering, which is important, right? And reporting and all of those things. Of course, it adds some risks, but you can mitigate the risks. Come on. It's important to make sure that you drive the benefit out of it. Then it adds much needed visibility. You saw I have the entire report of all the DNS requests that are happening on Robertino's computer with a click of a button. And last but not least, it doesn't need to complicate nor delay your DNS resolution pattern. So adding DNS security, we're busting the meat over here. It does not make your internet slower. It does not. It doesn't need to violate your privacy, and it doesn't need to make anything more complicated. The DNS security tool that you have available out there can also do the job without complicating things. And don't forget, Heimdall is here to help. So guys, if you want a demonstration of the DNS or any more advanced discussions, please do use the I would like a meeting option from the survey. Now, next, you have in the handouts area, you can download 3 documents. You have the DNS security ebook from Heimdall, the threat prevention network datasheet, and the threat prevention endpoint datasheet. You remember the 2 layers where Heimdall can sit at the DNS level and secure you. And of course, with that being said, make sure you join us on our next webinar. This is going to be XDR, and it's going to be on the 6th of September. We have 2 sessions. We have one at the 2 p.m. Central European time. Then we have one at 8 a.m. Eastern time, which is US. And then we have a second session, 6 p.m. Central European time. And we have 12 noon Eastern time, US. And with that being said, we are now officially into the Q&A segment. So I'm just gonna take this opportunity to drink a sip of water and see what are the most interesting questions that we will get to read out loud and make sure we get to respond to them. Okay, so let's see. Okay, perfect. Okay, this is an interesting question. This is an interesting one. So, what about managed detection services? So, well, with managed detection services, Heimdall has an XDR add-on, which is amazing. It's based on all the products, and we do have the webinar upcoming for that. So, if you want to talk more about that, just let us know in the survey at the end of the forum. Okay, do we need a next-gen firewall if we use Heimdall Tor on all our endpoints? Salih asks this question. Robertino, would you, I would say that the next-gen firewall, right, this is a different layer of security.
Yeah.
So if you want a next-gen firewall and the network DNS security tool, both of them work together, right?
It's a little bit like if you ask, do I need a safety belt? And if I already have an airbag in my car and I have maybe ABS and ESP, everything is a component for security. And with every bit and piece, you're adding a new layer of security. So DNS protection is not making a firewall obsolete because it's a complete different concept of protecting you. So it's an addition, increasing the overall security of your systems. That is the thing about it. We are not using this and this and we are replacing that one. No, security is very complex and each component is necessary, finally, to protect you against all kinds of attacks.
Thank you, Robertino. And I do agree. Honestly, it's like exactly as you said, asking if you still need a seatbelt if you have brakes on the car. So yes, we would recommend having it. Of course, if the case that you're looking at does not require it, then no. But make sure you always tailor these around the case that you have and that you're looking at. We have another interesting question. Interesting is, can I use this with other security tools? Yes, you can. It's compatible with anything. The only things that are incompatible with this are things that are installing and monitoring the same space, right? So if you put this DNS security tool with another DNS security tool at the same time, right? Because then something happens, something changes, right? That's gonna be a cat and mouse game. And another nice question. Why would we need DNS security if our AVs are already doing web filtering? Well, Robertino, would you like to take this one, or would you like me to?
We can both do it. First, you.
Okay. I'll let you start.
Okay. Well, antiviruses are usually web filtering of an antivirus is something completely different because it's working on a different level. What we are doing is definitely on the lowest level of traffic. That means each kind of process that is running in the background, and it's not only known processes, it can be also downloaded now from a web page that is not detected as a virus, and that is the point, or as a malware, can initiate a download from another domain. So what usually malware is doing, it's collecting bits and pieces from different payload servers and combining them to a running process on your system. So
it doesn't bring the entire thing in from the first go.
Yeah,
I see.
That is the point. And web is only one small part of the whole internet. In the old days, and you see I'm quite old, we had Gopher, FTP. We have a bunch of protocols that are using DNS to connect to servers, but they're using not web or known web protocols. So for example, if your antivirus is just looking for HTTP traffic, that is nice. But if he's not looking for FTP connections to payload servers or torrent connections or onion connections, resolving the domains, then you're lost.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Robertino. That is even better than I would have explained it. So, well, we have so many interesting questions, and we will get to all of them, I promise, because even after we finish the event, all the questions that have not been responded to will get a personal email response by me. But I do want to pick up a few more. So, let's see. Very interesting. We have a Heimdall partner saying that I have just changed to Heimdall from another vendor at one of my customers yesterday, and within 24 hours, we already have 19 prevented attacks. This is great because we are now starting to filter out that traffic, and I'm glad that we already prevented potential attacks on their environment. And I have another one, which is interesting. I assume that the DNS threat protection works out of the box and no additional config is needed. If a domain needs to be whitelisted, what is the process and can we filter out social media and use it as a web filtering service? Now, guys, I just want to take a moment here and show you how easy this is. Let's make sure that you're looking at my Heimdall console right now, right? So the Heimdall DNS, when you set it up, and I'll just open a group policy, comes by default on, and this is the level of complication, I would say, it has when you are installing it, right? Just a few buttons, which you are guided by our support and our documentation on what to press. Then whitelisting, blocking, custom blocking pages, blocking categories like social, sports, hobby, free time, blocking categories only at a certain time. So I don't want to get into this because a full demo would give you guys more, right? But if you want the full demo, just connect with our colleagues. I know we just hit the time over here. Again, the questions that you guys have are amazing and are so good, and I will properly respond to all of them. But for now, I would say, Robertino, thank you for joining. Thank you everybody for joining us, and I wish you all a lovely morning or afternoon, depending or from where you're connecting. Have a nice one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.